There is a novel that won the Pulitzer Prize in 1937. More than 80 years later, it still remains a classic, transcending every era and enduring with time. That novel is Gone with the Wind, written by the American author Margaret Mitchell. It took her 10 years to complete. The story is set during the American Civil War and follows the life of the beautiful Scarlett from the age of 16 to 28. She is a girl like a plum blossom, resilient in the midst of a snowstorm, learning lessons about love through 3 marriages and through the ups and downs of fate in a time of war and chaos. Each time you read this book, you will probably feel something different, because it teaches not only lessons about love, but also leaves you with deep reflections on human nature and on life itself, helping you gain more understanding and maturity. In the end, it may allow you to answer for yourself the questions: how should one live rightly? How should one choose love? And if one lets oneself be carried away by the wind, where will it take one? Now, let us begin today's reflection through the classic novel Gone with the Wind. Human beings are strange. The less they can have something, the more they long for it. The beautiful, charming, wealthy young Scarlett has countless suitors, but she loves only one man, Ashley. He is her childhood companion, the boy who grew up with her, perfect, handsome, gifted, and composed. For the past 2 years, Ashley has visited Scarlett's family estate almost every week, dancing with her and going out with her. Although he has never confessed his feelings, his gentleness and attentiveness make Scarlett believe that he loves her and will propose to her. But one day, like a bolt from the blue, she is shocked to hear that Ashley is about to marry Melanie, her own cousin. So at their engagement party, Scarlett dresses beautifully, goes to Ashley, confesses her feelings, and hopes that he will run away with her. But Ashley firmly refuses. Disappointed, humiliated, and furious, Scarlett cannot accept that she cannot have Ashley and that the other ladies might mock her. In anger, she accepts a proposal from Melanie's brother. But this hasty marriage is not a way of escaping heartbreak. It is a way of becoming family with Ashley. She wants him to regret losing her. Then war breaks out, and her new husband, only 2 months after their wedding, is called to enlist. Unfortunately, he falls ill and dies on the march, and Scarlett becomes a widow. After that, Scarlett finds a way to move in with her cousin with only one goal: to be closer to Ashley. And even when she remarries a second and then a third time, she still thinks only of him. Some might think Scarlett's love for Ashley is powerful and faithful, that she is always ready to fight for love, daring to love and daring to hate, a model for women who should courageously struggle for their love. But sadly, Scarlett never truly loved Ashley from the beginning. And it was never real love at all. For Scarlett, a proud and passionate girl who had never known the taste of failure, Ashley becomes the one man she insists she loves most in her life. Whether he belongs to another woman, whether she herself belongs to another man, whether he has gone to the ends of the earth. But this pursuit is not sincerity. In truth, it is an obsession, a fixation on what she cannot have. Human beings are very strange creatures. Whatever they do not possess disturbs them more deeply. Whatever they cannot attain only makes them want it more. Just like the saying people often repeat, an old love is hard to forget. A love left unfinished is always the most beautiful. But is that really true? Or are we simply caught in the trap of a psychological effect? There is a psychological effect called the Zeigarnik effect. The psychologist Zeigarnik once carried out an experiment in which a group of people were given 20 tasks to complete. The first 10 tasks were done without interruption or disturbance, so they finished them quickly. But in the next 10 tasks, she deliberately interrupted the participants while they were working. As a result, those tasks were left unfinished within the allotted time. After the experiment, Zeigarnik analyzed the participants' mental reactions and discovered that they remembered the unfinished tasks more vividly than the 10 they had completed. This effect therefore shows that people tend to forget what has already been completed, but remember much more deeply what remains unfinished or unattained. The same is true in relationships. What we cannot have always seems more beautiful. The less we receive someone's response, the more obsessed we become. The more we care, the more afraid we are of losing. Human beings are also very quick to lose themselves, become confused, and fall into inner contradiction. The less they can have something, the more they desire it. But once they have it, they no longer value it. In the novel Red Rose, White Rose, there is a line like this: "Marry a red rose, and in time the red becomes a mosquito bite on the wall, while the white remains moonlight before your bed. Marry a white rose, and the white becomes a grain of rice stuck to your clothes, while the red remains a cinnabar mark on your heart." Once you have the red rose, you long for the white. Once you possess the white, your mind turns back toward the red. It is like those blue crystal earrings Scarlett once begged her father to buy her. The moment they came into her hands was the moment they officially lost their original value. Scarlett is like so many of us, unable to distinguish what true affection really is. Do we love eating ice cream, or do we only love the feeling of wanting an ice cream? The feeling before getting it is the most wonderful part, but once it is eaten, we may immediately feel tired of it. Or perhaps we pour all our strength into winning first prize in some competition, but once we achieve it, all that remains is a vast emptiness, and to escape that emptiness, we throw ourselves into chasing new goals. Human beings are always spinning in desire for what they do not yet have in hand. Because they do not have it, they believe it to be the most beautiful thing. Because they cannot attain it, their hearts are driven harder toward it. But this is not the true motivation for living or for loving. Do not let that illusion deceive you. Sometimes, what is hardest to let go of is not a person, but the stubborn fantasy inside ourselves. After everything, Scarlett finally awakens to the truth of her feelings for Ashley. She says, "He never really existed, except in my own imagination." In psychology, there is another effect called the halo effect. It shows that people often judge others highly based on just one trait or one quality, deceiving themselves and blinding themselves to everything else in that person. But this is only a limited judgment born from incomplete understanding. If you have never had the chance to live closely with someone, how can you really understand them? If you have never faced hardship together, how can you truly experience the conflict and discomfort that person may bring? If you love someone without a complete understanding of who they are, then that feeling is nothing but a one-sided romantic illusion built by your own imagination. It is like flowers reflected on water, like the moon inside a mirror, something you long to grasp. You imagine that this enormous force must be love. But no, you do not love that person. You only love the version of them created inside your own imagination. More precisely, you are only using that illusion to satisfy and fill your own empty self. So after Scarlett and Ashley's story, what do you see? You must see the truth of human nature. We always run after what we do not yet possess, and that is precisely the road that drowns us in illusion and leads us into suffering. Therefore, before deciding to devote your whole life to someone, you must truly understand them, accept both their good and their bad sides, and only then, with complete sincerity, can you begin a real love. Never use marriage as a tool. When war and chaos break out, in order to keep Tara and save her family, Scarlett uses her beauty and does everything she can to marry a wealthy man named Frank Kennedy. But Frank is actually the fiancé of her own younger sister. Scarlett knows her sister well. Once Sue Ellen marries Frank, she will never use his money to help the family. So Scarlett sees only one way to get the money: deceive Frank into believing that Sue Ellen has fallen in love with someone else and is about to marry him. 2 weeks later, Scarlett marries Frank exactly as she intended. But once they begin living together, Scarlett wants to work hard and earn money, while Frank only wants her to be a proper wife and raise children. Scarlett is always independent, but Frank keeps trying to control what she does. Their life together is full of conflict. For Scarlett, this marriage that seems impossible to escape contains only endless quarrels and a deep loneliness. There is nothing in it that deserves to be called love. A marriage chosen as a compromise for material advantage will certainly be filled with dissatisfaction. In the end, one can only become trapped inside the cage one has woven for oneself and spend a whole lifetime in regret. If you use marriage as a tool, you will eventually become a tool of marriage yourself. Later, Frank joins the counter-revolutionary cause and is shot dead. Once again, Scarlett becomes a widow. Love is not a game, nor is it a business. Weighing profit and loss is meaningless erosion when it comes to true feeling. Shakespeare said, "If in love there is calculation that has nothing to do with it, then it is not true love." Real love must be sincerity, exchanged for sincerity, without caring who takes the first step, only hoping not to miss one another. Never lose yourself in receiving from only one side. After 2 remarriages, Scarlett changes from a girl pampered by everyone into a widow considered ill-fated in the eyes of others. Along with the chaos of society, she endures poverty, war, and the pain of losing both her parents. She has now changed from a rich, refined young lady who never needed to lift a finger into an independent businesswoman. After that, her whole hometown and Ashley's family depend on her for survival. In the midst of all this gain and loss, there is always one person waiting for her and giving her courage: Rhett Butler. Rhett once risked his life to steal a horse for Scarlett amid the flames of war and escort her back to Tara. He witnesses her 2 broken marriages and, without her noticing, becomes the knight and the 3rd husband who protects her. Rhett spends enormous sums of money to please Scarlett, takes her on a honeymoon, smooths the road before her, comforts her like a child, buys land, and builds a magnificent house exactly to her taste. Rhett, who loves Scarlett deeply, indulges and forgives her again and again. He wants Scarlett to be happier than any other woman, and yet Scarlett's heart remains haunted by Ashley. She even foolishly thinks that although she cannot be with Ashley, she can at least remain faithful to him physically in spirit. So, after Scarlett gives birth to a daughter, she demands that she and Rhett sleep in separate rooms. The one who is favored never knows fear. The one who is indulged never knows anxiety. To sink into enjoying another's devotion is a kind of illusory happiness. It is fragile and easily broken, because while wrapped in that illusion, we may demand things freely, make unreasonable trouble with confidence, squander the other person's tenderness at will, hurt another's sincerity without the slightest thought, and treat it all as something natural. But in this world, no one will stand forever in one place waiting for you. In an intimate relationship, if one person only keeps taking and never giving, that not only leaves the other bruised and wounded, it also causes one to lose oneself. Because of that, one can fail to recognize another's true heart, and in the end, become unable to attain real happiness. Any relationship not built on both giving and receiving, no matter how eternal it may seem, will one day run dry. In the end, Rhett, exhausted and disappointed, chooses to leave. Only then does Scarlett realize that she and Rhett were truly meant for one another, that they understood each other more than anyone else, and that only Rhett loved all of who she was, the good and the bad alike. Rhett was the one who gave her strength, but by the time she understands this, everything is already too late. Do not place limits on yourself. You are no less than anyone else. If someone reads Gone with the Wind for the first time, they may well be shocked by Scarlett's rebellious spirit, because in the education most of us have absorbed since childhood, we are taught to become people who follow social moral standards, to value selflessness, devotion, and concern for others. For that reason, you may be shocked by a Scarlett who is cold, greedy, selfish, and proud. She does not hesitate to do whatever is necessary to achieve what she wants. She marries the first husband out of revenge. She marries the second for material advantage. She marries the third for comfort and pleasure. None of those 3 marriages contains true sincerity from her, and so all of them are bound to fail. But why has Scarlett inspired millions of people across generations? And why has this fictional character influenced feminist thought in real life for so many decades? Because she is too real, and because of that realism, she becomes a figure full of controversy. She was once a noble young lady. She lived beautifully, but in an instant, the guns of war erupted. Her mother died, her father lost his mind, and everything around her became desolation. In despair, she has no choice but to shoulder the entire family. She learns to build and manage the plantation herself, learns to do business, and immediately transforms from a delicate young girl into a strong, capable woman who bears all the burdens of the household. Through that process, she comes to understand just how difficult life truly is. In order to protect herself and her family, she can take up a gun and drive away invaders. In order to feed herself and everyone else, she can use marriage as a bargaining chip. In marriage, everyone sees her as selfish, greedy, arrogant, and cold. But it is precisely that selfishness of character that also creates a woman who is independent, self-possessed, daring to think, daring to act, and daring to be disliked in both work and life. Scarlett lives in a time when men are considered superior to women, and most women are expected to remain at home. Because of that, many women begin from the outset by thinking themselves inferior to men, and so they abandon their dreams early. But Scarlett does not. She never once thinks herself inferior to them. And because of that, she never places limits on herself, never imprisons herself within other people's judgments. In the end, that is why she is able to make her own success. Women must face many prejudices in life. Some believe that women are born inferior to men, that no matter how hard they try, they cannot truly change anything. But believe this, such voices are only oppression shaped by cultural bias. In truth, whether woman or man, everyone is equal. Only when a woman refuses to limit herself can she bring more color into her own life. Do not let the prejudiced eyes of anyone stop you. Use their words as fuel and keep moving forward. Only in this way can you live without regret. Do not give up too easily. Tomorrow is another day. It is Scarlett's character selfish, independent, determined that is most worth our reflection. A human being, is a deeply contradictory creature. No one is entirely admirable, and no one is entirely ruined. In the journey of life, we are imperfect and full of flaws. We often lose our way and suffer, but as long as we keep a spirit that looks toward a better tomorrow, we can learn, improve, and rise through experience. Like Scarlett's final line in the novel's open ending, when Rhett leaves in disappointment, she says, "Tomorrow is another day." With that sentence, the spirited Scarlett may awaken and once again fight for love, but this time, perhaps, with sincerity. For she has matured in the wind and has come through the storms. Yet even if she does not choose to take another step forward, that too is not the most important thing. What matters is that compared to the immature, selfish, wounded, and despairing girl at the beginning of the story, Scarlett has truly changed enough to take control of her own fate. With determination in hand, love in the heart, and light in the eyes, one need not fear any storm that the future may bring. Every step you take in life is meaningful. All of it carries its own significance. The truly wise are those who turn every experience into a lesson that helps them move forward, so that every encounter becomes the best arrangement of their life. A person with clear understanding and extraordinary resilience can let himself or herself fly with the wind. But in the end, where should that wind carry you? To a place free from entanglement with the past, free from anxiety about the future. A place where you can live well in the present. And no matter what happens, tomorrow is still another day. The character of Scarlett has given courage to those who have failed and also served as a mirror for the successful to examine themselves. Her broken love story tells us that the less we can have something, the more we pursue it. But once we obtain it, we may discover that it was never truly what we wanted. If we do not cherish what we already have, we will inevitably pay for it with regret. To live without remorse, we must let go of selfish ego and exchange sincerity for sincerity. To overcome hardship, we must learn Scarlett's spirit of self-reliance and resilience and continue shining with a fierce vitality. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Give me a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can catch my newest weekly videos. Once again, thank you all, and see you again in the next videos.